You're listening to Women in Wellness, a program to help you create gorgeous growth for your blissful business in health and wellness. I'm Dr. Gabby, holistic health expert and founder of Women in Wellness, a one-of-a-kind course and community designed to empower and inform you about how to build a purposeful and profitable holistic business. And I have such a cool guest today. Melissa Wood is here.
Melissa, how are you?
Good. I'm doing really well. I'm so excited.
Me too.
I'm going to tell them a little bit about you, and then we'll dive into some questions.
Great.
So Melissa has built a successful modeling career with frequent appearances in Shape, Fitness, and Women's Health magazines. She struggled to maintain her weight and find the balance of staying fit and being healthy. Her growing interest in health and wellness led her to attain a health coaching certification from the Institute of Integrative Nutrition. And today she works as a health and wellness coach in New York City, where she helps her clients to discover a healthier and more enjoyable way of life.
Yes.
Yay! And what an awesome transformation. You and I met at the Revitalize conference, which is part of the Mind Body Green community. And so obviously you're really committed, because that's, that's a community of like-minded people who are really trying to, live and work in a healthy way. Before we jumped on the call, you mentioned that it's only recently that you really started to talk about your personal story and how and why you made this change. Can you share a little bit about your journey with us?
Yes, I'd love to. Now that I'm realizing that is truly why I'm here doing this work and hoping to help people who are in the same situation, and just seeing that there is a way out. There's another way of living. And, I'm still working as a model in New York, but it's more of a hobby. I look at it as, it's great if I book a job. I don't put so much pressure on myself. And the funny thing is, you almost start to work more as soon as you stop caring so much what everyone thinks about you.
That's like life. Like when you really like the guy, he never likes you back.
So true. As soon as you let go and you're like, you know what, I like me now. So if you don't, I'm cool with it. And then people just gravitate towards that. But, I live in New York. I'm surrounded by some of the most beautiful women who are thinner than you, who book more jobs than you. And I got really caught up in that. I moved to New York in my early 20s, and I didn't know who I was. And I wanted to be that girl. I wanted to be the girl on the cover of magazines and on the billboards. And I had this vision of being this thing, which I didn't even know, really what it was. And I developed really unhealthy habits. I didn't like myself. I didn't like who I was. I didn't like what I saw. I always picked myself apart. I had really bad acne covering, this entire area of my face, my forehead, my neck, my back. And I was really good at covering it, but that
sounds really painful, what you're describing.
It was really painful.
It sounds really painful.
It really caused a lot. I suffered from severe anxiety from all of these components, but it wasn't until I started purging, and I would go on these crazy binges of just eating anything and everything. I was eating my feelings. And then my way of letting everything go, of releasing the pain that I was feeling inside was purging and throwing up. Let's just call it what it is. I try to make everything sound so pretty. I was throwing up my food. And I kept that a very tight secret. My friend didn't know, my boyfriend didn't know, I lived with him. My parents and my family, nobody knew. It was like my deepest, darkest secret. And people always thought I had my shit together, and I was living in New York. I was a model. I was acting. I was on these commercials, and I was suffering. I was dying inside. And it wasn't until I didn't want to feel that way anymore. I was torturing myself.
Was there a moment? Did you have that moment where you're like, I'm done? Yeah. What was that like?
It was a moment. I woke up. I drank heavily the night before, and I ate like pure shit. I was totally binge eating everything. And I made myself throw up, and I laid on my bathroom floor and I just cried, and I knew the damage I was doing to myself and my soul and my spirit. I was not the person who I am today. And, that's what really got me into this business, because I know you can turn your life around, whether you have an anxiety disorder or you're overweight or you just don't like yourself. There are steps to take to getting to a place of really making a transition in your life to be happy.
Did you call somebody?
Who
Did you
called
call?
a girlfriend of mine who was seeing a therapist, and I had talked to her before about her therapist, and she's my soul sister. She's the girl that I go to Marianne Williamson with. We read all the same books. We go to all the same little spiritual gurus and, workshops. And I called her and I said, I need to see your therapist. And I started seeing her, and I still had the issue. Obviously, it doesn't just go away. And I found myself starting to lie to my therapist. Like, she was like, "How was your week?" And I would say, "Oh, it was fine." And she's like, "Are you?" And I was like, "No, I'm not." And I was. So it took a while for me to really be honest with myself and what I was doing. And that's really hard. Even when you think you're ready for change, it's scary, like when someone's in your face asking you, are you still throwing up? And you're so ashamed of it. It's such an ugly thing that I was like mortified that I ever had that issue, and so I called her therapist, and that was the major turning point. I think reaching out and knowing that you need help, because we all need help. Therapists need therapists. Life coaches need life coaches.
Yeah.
Coaches need health coaches.
Yeah.
I have a whole system of people that I go to for everything, because you need a unit. You need to build your community.
Yeah, for sure.
Lift you up, and you really have to tune into the people who bring you down. And, I was in this cyclone of being around certain people who were so obsessive about their weight. And I gained 3 pounds over that meal last night. And I stopped weighing myself. I don't weigh myself at all anymore. Do I have a scale? It's fine. It's in my home. I don't have any weird attachment with it, but I choose not to weigh myself. And I don't do anything with the scale with my clients. If someone wants to lose weight, we start here. We start really getting into how you're living your life and the thoughts that you're thinking about yourself and people in the world. If you think you're really nice to yourself, but you shit talk everyone, things probably aren't going to come to you the way that you want them to. Like gossiping, that's definitely something.
Right.
So easy to get caught up in that, but
right. I had a meditation teacher say to me once, like, you're not doing the work if you sit on the meditation cushion for an hour and then you get off the meditation cushion and you kick the cat. then you're not doing the work. Like,
I think we know those people. And there's a lot of people that, will talk all this stuff, but then when push comes to shove, they're not really living it.
Right.
That's what made a difference for me.
Right. And this experience that you had of suffering and then reaching out and then facing yourself and building the honesty and authenticity, doesn't that empower you to hold other people's hands, right? Because how scary it is. And you can say to them, I'm so proud of you for showing up to do this. I know how hard it is. I've been there, right? And it makes it makes you a really good guide.
It does. And even in the matter of, it's been a week since I openly shared this on a Facebook Live, and it's changed the way that I'm working with my clients and just everything. It's like all of these things started opening up for me in a week. I'm like, imagine what a lifetime of just being real and, just saying it like it is instead of always, I'm like, was just telling you that I'm revamping my website because I read that website and I'm like, bullshit. Bullshit. You make this sound like you just rolled into this health coaching thing. No, I did not. And I had my own health. So I started working with a therapist. And then before I even knew what IIN, the Institute for Integrative Nutrition, was, I went to this girl's yoga class. Her energy was magnetic. I was like, who is this girl? I need more. I want what she has. And that's, kind of how this works. And she, at the end of the class, was like, I'm a health and wellness coach. And I immediately started working with her. And that's where I started to really be honest with myself, in addition to the therapy. And, I did a bunch of different things, but you have to find what it is and who your people are and how, they can help crack you open to just the real stuff that's going on.
Yeah, and it's so interesting. I have a girlfriend also who's a health coach here in Miami, and we have conversations sometimes about how you think your vulnerability and your mess and everything is like your weakness. Like you mentioned shame, right? Like, and that you felt so much shame and you're mortified. But like, as soon as you tell other people, they're like, you're so strong, you're such an inspiration. And you're like, it's so counterintuitive.
It's so counterintuitive.
Because you're like, if anyone knows this about me, like they're just going to think that, I don't know, like I'm a mess. And
yeah, that was exactly it.
And then you tell them and they're like, wow,
It's funny, even some of the closest people in my life, I just started really getting comfortable saying it, and they're shocked because I was so good at hiding my pain, which is really sad. I think that's the thing that you really have to look at, like living this life of a lie. It was a lie. And I can, I spoke about having severe anxiety and horrible acne, cystic acne. And I now know that because I was in that place of just ripping myself apart, literally destroying my body, because when you have acne, it's really hard to go about your day or do anything because you can't stand the way you look. So I had to get to a place where I looked at myself in the mirror every single day and I would say, I love and accept myself exactly the way I am. And that's in Louise Hay, You Can Heal Your Life. I'm sure you know, but that little statement, and I share that so many people because that's what got me to a place of saying it to myself and then getting to a place where I believed it. And then it was like, even if, my skin's a little broken out right now, and I'm like, it's okay. It's funny how it all internally starts to shift. Do I break out occasionally? Yes, but I don't suffer from severe acne or
you don't add that layer on top of it where you're like beating yourself up. Exactly. It's like bad enough if like something happens, right? Like if you have some anxiety or some acne, and then when you add on top of it, like, and I'm a horrible person, like I'm unlovable, you put all that, and then you just made it so much worse.
It was especially as a model and like showing up at these jobs and the makeup artist asking like, what do you use on your skin? And like, you're already feeling horrible and it's not good. It only leads to more inner turmoil and just picking at yourself.
So what would you say now is sort of like the mission of the work that you're doing with others? Is it that you want people to have this same kind of breakthrough? Like what is the passion?
I would say the most important thing is to have a shift in your self-love. That's probably the number one thing that I see transitions with people. And that's my desire, because I believe that when you get to a place of really loving yourself, and I mean really loving yourself, so taking everything that comes with that, things start to shift and to fall into place. And those 10 pounds that you were obsessing over, it's amazing how when you let go of that number and just focus on being really good and kind to yourself and having, a great routine in the morning that, sets the tone for the day, and the food that you put in your body and your thoughts, as and then your wind down routine at night. You really have to look at your life, and you have to look at what you're doing to yourself and to others around you. And that to me is why I do this, because I used to think it was a struggle. It was really hard to live this healthy life and, to maintain this size and still be a model and all of these other things. And I've realized, no, it's not hard. It doesn't have to be a struggle. It's all about how you look at it. And then once you're honest with yourself and you make these subtle transitions, it's honestly life-changing. My life is completely different than it was 5 years ago.
And one of the things that I like in this kind of mindset is you talk about this resistance, right? Like you have this resistance to the 10 pounds or this resistance to whatever. And like, it's almost like the more resistant you are, the more it just becomes like,
hold on to it.
Fixed. It's like
gain more weight.
Because it's like you're perpetuating that struggle, right? By just having the animosity and the negativity and the resistance, then you're perpetuating.
Absolutely. Most people come to me and probably come to you with the goal to lose weight. They want to lose weight. They want to look and feel their best, which is great. We all should, be able to do that. I think that that's something that everyone should feel good about themselves. But the thing is, I always say is, okay, if you lose those 10 pounds, there's no guarantee that you're going to like yourself any more than you are the way you are right now.
Right.
So finding a way to like yourself in the worst of everything. And that's the hard part.
Yeah.
For me, that's what got me into meditation. And that's on my website, which the 3 M's, the movement, mindful eating, and meditation. Did I get them all? Yes. Those are real. Those are truthful. It's just the way that I word them. And that's what got me into meditation, because I realized that when you give space in your life to tune out of everything that's going on and just, allow a little bit of time it's cleansing the mind. Marianne Williamson, I love her so much. She's a huge spiritual mentor for me. She always says, we wake up every morning and we all have to shower. We take a shower, we go to the gym, we exercise these muscles, we clean our body, but nobody's cleansing their mind. And it's so true. Once I got into a disciplined habit of meditating every day is when everything, it's like the space in my life opened up for it becomes eye-opening, where I'm like, oh, that's what I've been doing. That's the problem. And it helps connect the dots for me.
Nice. That's great.
Yes.
That's really powerful. So a lot of the women that are listening to this conversation, and a lot of the women that I work with, are wanting to work in health and wellness or already working in health and wellness. And you mentioned like you took over the IAN, was it the Instagram?
I did their Instagram and I did a Facebook Live with them.
Right. So those are also aspiring health and wellness coaches, right? They want to do this work. They want to, help other people transform their lives. Do you have any like tips or advice
Yes.
to other coaches? Like what would you say to other coaches about doing this work?
Okay. So let's just let's go back a year. If you would have told me, and I shared this on my Instagram, if you would have told me a year ago that I would be doing the stuff that I'm doing now, I'm doing everything now that I wanted to be doing. And I know the reason why I'm doing that is because I stopped obsessing over what everybody else is doing. Put the Instagram down, ladies, because let me tell you, scrolling and searching, it's become an obsession. And I love Instagram. It's changed my life. It's changed my business. It's opened up so many great opportunities for me. But comparing yourself to somebody else who has a booming business is not going to do anything good for you. If you can take great things that they're doing and say, oh, I'd love to be doing that without kind of jealous comparison tone, great. Most people can't. I also, in doing that, when you see these people doing these things, I wasn't being who I am. I'm just now, like, I'm on the edge of really sharing who I am and being your authentic self, because it's what you offer that is going to set you apart from all of these other health coaches. And guess what? We need more health coaches. There's enough room for all of us. And as soon as I started, one tip, unfollow all of the people who you have that almost obsessive relationship with, and where you start to compare, like, oh, I wish I had that many followers and this. Unfollow them with love. Bless them and really mean it, because it helps you get into your own thing. Like, what lights you up? What really gets you going? What has you, go on a tangent about changing your life, and pay attention to that. Really take a little time for yourself and write down, I took one weekend to myself right before I enrolled at IIN, and I did not talk on the phone. I didn't go to lunch or anything with anyone. It was 2 days. I mean, Friday, Saturday, and really Friday night, Saturday, and Sunday. And I paid attention to everything that made me feel good, everything that kept me going. And it was like, I went rollerblading, and then I took a yoga class, and then I made a shake, and it was all centered around health and wellness. And I realized that's my thing. That's really who I am. And I live this way, and I want to share that, So if you love, I have a girlfriend who owned a gym, Model Fit, and she was talking about all of these things when she was at IIN, and how she didn't know what she wanted to do. She didn't want to be a health coach. Great. You just have to pay attention to what it is that lights you up, and stop comparing yourself to everybody else, because that was what shifted in me. And then, what's so weird is today on Instagram, one of the people who I had that weird thing with, and I was like, oh, she's so many followers, and I unfollowed. And then someone posted something about her, and I clicked, and this is not relevant, but it was more just a moment of, wow, it's incredible how things can shift. And we had the same amount of following. Doesn't mean you're amazing if you have a lot of followers, by the way. Get over that. But it was more the irony to see, wow, as soon as you let go of this thing that this person's doing and how you want to do this thing, it's amazing what can really happen in your own life when you focus on your own thing,
I mean, everything you're saying, I just want to type it up and print it out and put it in a poster.
Oh.
I mean, it's so I can't tell you enough. Yes, yes,
no,
yes,
I'm
yes,
being
yes, yes.
really honest, man. I was such an obsessive psycho.
Yes.
And now I love Instagram. It's fun. It's a really great tool if you can use it.
Yes. Yes.
And bless people, send them love. And because we all need it, especially
today.
That's going on in the world.
Yes. So unfortunately, I'm super bummed, but we don't have any more time. But because
we'll do another one.
Because we love Instagram and we love you, how can people follow you? How can they find you? How can they coach with you?
You can find me. My Instagram's probably the best way to find me. It's at Melissa Wood Health, and that's MELISSA, Wood Health. And my website is www.melissawoodhealth.com. I'm on Facebook, Melissa Wood, and I also have a health page, Melissa Wood Health. But yeah, I would love to connect with people. If you have any questions, reach out. I did this, I reached out to so many people when I had questions, and you never know what can happen.
I love it. You make it so accessible and so tangible and just so grounded, it's just really refreshing. So I'm super grateful you spent some time with us today.
Thank you. I really enjoyed it, and I feel you gave me something too. So thank you so much.
Thanks so much for listening to this episode. You can join the Women in Wellness Club at women-in-wellness.com.